1. Hello, Global Theater. My name is Gerry Fialka. Today is November 28th, 2023. We want to thank Rob Grant and his amazing podcast, I'm Probably Wrong About Everything. Also want to thank the great Frank Zappa, because it was through him that I met our guest today, Artis the Spoonman. Where in the heck you calling in from, Artis?
Calling in from Port Townsend, Washington. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you good. It's a real pleasure and an honor. Probably the greatest spoon player in the world.
I'm not that. I'm just a more famous one.
But okay. What the first question is, what is the best thing for a human being?
The best thing for a human being, I guess, is to make it past the best thing for a human being. Okay, well, if you want to live, it's to make it past birth.
To make it past birth. What's your favorite form of information, how it comes into you?
Optical.
Optical. You're to the point. That's good. Why do humans collect or gather information?
Why do they?
Yeah.
Or how do they? I mean, like, why do we collect or gather information? It has something to do with the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus, and they have to be operating properly. You know, it all has to do with the spine too.
Dude, you get this. This is good. But do you think this need or want to collect information is more innate or more invented?
Oh, the need or want is more innate or invented. Well, those two are different. The need is innate. The want is invented.
Oh my God. No one's ever differentiated that. That is brilliant. So do thoughts create emotions?
Yeah, it's all combined in there. I'm not exactly sure what portion of the brain, but yeah. Thoughts, of course, create emotions. Whatever signals the thoughts get, that's brain works.
Artists, fill in the blank. I don't know what I think until I...
Oh, that's very good. I don't know what I think until I... That's a translation into a language. So whatever your language, whatever one's language is, if they define and acknowledge their physical world, then they have to have a language. But the only way to translate is by having a language. Otherwise, it's all immediate perception without a language, without a translation.
Brilliant answer, but can humans think without language?
Yes, I'm sure.
Chomsky says a language is not just words. It's a culture, a tradition, a unification of community, a whole history that creates what a community is. Artists, what do you do when language doesn't work? When language breaks down, what do you do?
Well, he just told you. He just said it. It doesn't mean, I don't know if you mean language by words. I agree with what you read from Chomsky. I mean, he's brilliant, but I wouldn't agree with everything he said, I'm sure. But I sure agree with that breakdown. So that if you mean language as words, but if language is music or a dance or a food or any kind of nature, if language is a freaking weapon, I mean, it's a language. You can't understand it.
But sometimes it breaks down. You know, you're at the store buying something and
Yes.
the clerk misunderstands you.
Yes.
What do you do when there's a misunderstanding, a communication breakdown? What do you usually do?
I see myself banging on the counter, banging on the counter and screaming out, "Don't you understand?" Let me. If that happens, I just walk away with the goods.
That is a great answer. So Your observations of humans in general, are we more thinking beings or more feeling beings?
Well, feeling is thinking. So I'm not sure if you mean. It seems to me you mean either are we impulsive, or maybe not impulsive, but if there's no time between, if there's kind of like no time between response, then we're not thinking. If there's time between response, we're thinking.
Oh, that is great. So these are two questions from Alan Turing in the 1950s. One, is thinking a function of the soul?
Don't get me started on soul. No, of course not. I mean, no, it can't be, because it depends on who is defining soul and what exactly they mean. If it's like a biblical thing, the Christian Bible about soul, then a soul apparently is like omnipresent. And if it's omnipresent, it doesn't have a singular divided identity. So you don't have a different soul than the plant, whatever. So I can't go there because I'm not Christian and I don't do that. I don't separate that concept. So thought is a material thing inside the material brain, which is pretty mysterious already.
Brilliant, Artis. I really appreciate your time. This is great. The second Turing question is, can machines think?
You can't put it into quite the one word think. It's thinking. We use thinking as an organic process mostly. If you want to look at a computer, call it by name and expect it to think rather than compute, then you could call it thinking. I don't, so far, computing to me doesn't align with thinking. And that's always arguable by those who want to compute. So I really don't actually. I would say I know, for me, I know that thinking is not, it's computing is not thinking.
Do you more pursue happiness or more pursue meaning?
I more pursue meaning, but you try to avoid what isn't pleasant. But much more pursue meaning than happiness.
Well, there's no right or wrong answers, but that one you got right. But you know, it's really from Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. He says that meaning tends to last and happiness doesn't necessarily last.
Yeah, well, Frankel's all right. I read that once upon a time.
Does the brain?
Yeah, he's neither here nor there, but I remember reading it.
Yeah.
Not that particular quote or anything. It's probably been 40 years since I read it.
Yeah, but does the brain more detect consciousness or create it? Like, is consciousness there bubbling away and we're more so detecting it or more so creating it?
Well, if consciousness, apparently there's three forms of conscious: unconscious, subconscious, and conscious. And if conscious, in that respect, conscious experiences it, not creating it. Creating it, it seems to me that there's a process, and none of it is creating. I think all of it is receiving, because as born, we can't very well create anything. We can only receive. So I think as we progress through life, we must, in order to create, or rather compose thoughts, we pretty much have to receive it.
What's faster, is speed of light or speed of thought?
That's a good one. Oh, that's good. I love that thought. I have used that so much. I don't know. How should I know? It, probably the speed of thought, But man, I don't know, because light can't go through the brain very good. I mean, through the skull. But then that's only our perception of it. It still has to get by. I don't know. Oh, that's great.
But I like your hunch, Artis, because 80% of people say speed of light, and I love it when they say speed of thought, because speed of thought is way faster than light. That's evident, and you got it. Your hunch and your guess was correct. So Audre Lorde, the poet, says you can't dismantle the master's house using the master's tools. Yvonne Rainer, her colleague, said you can if you expose the tools. What new tool do you suggest?
Hmm. The very first tool would be to it would have to be to disacknowledge the item that were previously referred to as master.
That was previously referred to as, I missed that word.
As master.
Nasty? Nasty? Nasty?
No, master.
Oh, as master. So
you have to disassemble the whole concept you have
of master. That's
master.
the tool. You want to disassemble the concept of having a master.
That's the first thing.
That's good. What's the second?
Probably to determine if you have an enemy, and then in a group, if you have a group, if you have an enemy, you may not, if you disassemble the idea of master, you may not have an enemy. And if you do have an enemy, then it's an enemy without an icon. And that allows you a form of presumably would create an equality between the enemy and oneself if it doesn't have an icon. If it's not an icon by master, president, cop, mother, parent, whatever, if you don't have an identity, an icon for an enemy, then there's at least a level playing ground in your mind. Then you can work from that. I don't know.
That was good. I appreciate that. Artis, what new toy do you suggest?
That's weird. New toy. Well, okay. Again, I only have one thought coming to mind. I want to shut up. You better not tell me. Your reproduction toy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a toy you don't want to abuse. So,
yeah.
Reproduction is essential. If you're too old or too young, well, the too young still use that for playing with, and the too old, I don't know. Then you, like myself, I guess the new toy for myself would be some form of cerebral meditation rather than just meditating on the prominent physical.
Cerebral meditation.
Yeah, like going inside, they say.
Yeah. What do you worry about when you go to bed at night?
I don't. When if I can't sleep, I guess I worry about my illusions,
Yeah.
try to overcome my illusions. If
I'm gonna
I'm
say-
in a bed and it's relatively quiet and the building's not falling down, what the hell have I got to be afraid of?
That's it. You're anticipating a lot of questions, but Artis, let me suggest, see that little green dot on your screen up above your screen?
Yeah.
Look at that, because people might feel that you're not present.
Oh, I have not been in front of the. I just.
That's all right. You're fine now. It was very.
No, I was clear over here. Listen, my speakers are over here, so
Yeah.
and it's only a single speaker. For some reason, it's not.
But it's all right. They might think you're trying to be evasive. I thought it was sort of.
I'm not.
I thought it was sort of being an artistic move.
No, I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. Okay. Marshall McLuhan learned from a poet that artists are the antenna of the race. They're broadcasting and detecting the hidden psychic effects of our inventions, so we might learn how to cope with what we don't like about our inventions. So, Artis, I asked you the question Marshall probed his whole career. Why do we ignore the hidden psychic effects of our inventions, even though the artists are broadcasting them to us?
Oh, man. You threw me off with one word and I couldn't follow you after it. And you're going to have to repeat it. I'm really sorry.
What was the word?
The word was race. And I race is another topic.
Yeah,
human race.
Yeah, it's like this, the antenna of the race. Like artists are broadcasting and detecting this, like they're an antenna. Even Bob Dylan said, I'm just an antenna and I'm like a radio and this stuff comes through me and I broadcast it. So that's when he say race, they just meant the antenna of the people, of the human condition. So artists are broadcasting these hidden psychic effects of, cars or cell phones or spoken word or music, whatever we invent. And we tend to ignore the artist and what they're really telling us. See, they might not even know what they're telling us, but artists are sort of broadcasting this energy to us and we kind of ignore it. Why do we ignore the hidden, real deep meanings of artists, like the cerebral meditation, the deeper level, deep sea diving? Why do humans tend to ignore these broadcasts from artists?
Well, if that's the case, which it may be according to you, I'll go there. But if that's the case, then it has to. What you've just said has to be taught. Otherwise, I don't think we ignore. I think that we miss. And for instance, where I got caught up that time is on the word artist or art, because for myself, I can't look at anything that someone considers art without looking at the street. I'm sorry, but the street had to be designed by the same single tools that any other so-called art. That street, the next time you're on the road, let go of the wheel for whatever, a second. If you got a halfway decent car, only halfway, it'll stay on the straight, and that in itself is because it was designed, the road was designed. Also, you watch in the rain and the water drifts to the side, whichever side, and drains. That is not by physical road. That's because it's designed. And that same person or people who designed that road are the same people that designed the matting, the gesso, the putting the whatever your chemical combinations, whether they're beet and silicone or whatever, to make paint. All of that are the same. They're just the same. So art is the street you live on. The road itself is art. So when you're saying artists conveying and ignoring, I don't think we ignore it. I don't think people talk like we're talking right now, and not in the second grade. And in the second grades where we ought to learn that we're not ignoring stuff. We're never ignoring stuff. We're shutting off our brain intentionally and walking away, or we didn't see it, or we didn't grok it.
Good term. I love it. Land, stranger in strange land. And so look at
That's good. That's good. All good.
do artists have moral obligation?
Well, everybody's got a moral obligation. Although, cultures are cultures. Moral obligation. If you're in a cannibalistic culture, then what is moral?
Yeah. You're a deep thinker. I love it. But you're talking on real grounded level. I appreciate it. This is Mike Kelly, the artist. I wonder your reaction to his opinion. Art is making your problems other people's problems.
Well, that's kind of like what you said earlier. That's just a translation through the artist, or through the so-called artist to the whatever the art form, but it's a translation.
Yeah.
So it goes in and comes back out in accordance to the construct of one's brain and their projected creativity.
Are you more afraid of new ideas or more afraid of old ideas?
Not afraid of ideas. I'm afraid of attack and such, but I'm not afraid of ideas. If it's expressed to me and the idea is abusive, well, I could be afraid. I try to avoid fear. But I can't. The spine can't avoid fear. But when I think about it, sometimes it's instant. It's like, who wouldn't be afraid of a gunshot going off next to their ear? But if a gunshot or a hard pop went off over there somewhere, and immediately your spine thought it might be a gunshot, no matter in accordance to how fast your concepts work, you might realize it was a backfire and just relax.
Yeah. Relax is a good word. So can you conjure up your earliest memory or one of them?
Well, I can conjure up one.
What is it?
That would be at 2. I'm sure there's something earlier, but at 2 years old. Now, this is it's because I was in the paper. So, what kind of memory that is, I don't know. And it was told to me as a boy. So, but the paper wouldn't show what happened. But when I was 2-ish, and my sister was 3 or 4 months old, Mom used to lay a chair across the doorway, a chair with rungs on it, across the doorway sideways, laid on the floor. So I couldn't get through it to go to my sister's crib while she was sleeping. But I tried to get through it, and I'll be damned, I stuck my head in it between the rungs and I couldn't get it out. And she had to call the fire department. And I was able to sit on the chair. She picked the chair up. We were in the kitchen. I'm sitting on the chair, but my head's through the rungs. And then in comes the fireman, and he overlooks the situation. Then he leaves, and he came back with a freaking saw. And all the time, I was just having time, whatever it was. I wasn't freaking or anything. It was just my head stuck in a chair. But when he came back with the saw, I hit the ceiling. I was sure he was going to have to cut off my head.
Oh my God. You mean, and they took a picture and put it in the newspaper?
Yeah, they got a picture of it later with me standing next to I got it, but not in this room. Standing next to the chair with a little bit of the story.
Oh, that is memory more a curse or more a blessing?
Well, I don't believe in a curse or a blessing.
Good.
But is memory a problem or not a problem? Or, I mean, that just, I think that determines on the reaction your spine, and then you're mixed up wherever that is, your cerebellum or something, how it defines that memory, how it, or it just automatically responds to it. So if it's scary, your spine, if it's primal, your spine will get it immediately, what you remember. And then if you remember something that's got you confused, you'll start mixing it up and figuring it out, I reckon.
Really good. Tell me someone within your immediate family, then outside your immediate family, just briefly, who had an impact on you, kind of like a role model. And what specifically was that impact?
Okay, so the two choices were when and when.
In the immediate family and then outside the immediate family.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
In the immediate family is pretty unusual. Good thing I went through therapy on this. Because in the immediate family was my stepfather, man I was named after, Artis.
What did you get from him mainly?
He had a paddle. He made a freaking paddle. Made a paddle just for spanking me. And did. Okay, I'm going to have to get past that. Now, what's the external? I mean, what it did for me, it made damn sure I never spanked any damn buddy.
There you go. You learned a good lesson.
And I regret it ever since. And as a man, I apologized to him not long ago.
Beautiful. You're really a good human. Now, outside your immediate family, someone who had an impact on you. And
what are we talking about here? You know, no doubt, Frank Zappa. First of all, I mean, that came to mind, I suppose, because that's what this is about, or at least initially. But my mother, you accuse me of having a mother complex. I don't care. Actually, I was raised by my mother. That guy I just mentioned he wasn't there much, fortunately. He was in the Navy. But Mom, I mean, there we go. What does that mean? I don't know. Psychologically, I'd like to study this. I'll talk to my counselor tomorrow and see what she thinks. But yeah, I'd say Mom was the first. And I got a lot of me. A lot of what you like about me is my mother. No doubt. No doubt. All my camp stuff and certain courtesies that are probably more, whatever that's called, where you pull out a chair and open the door and all that. But also my sense of humor, some of it, But Zappa, once we got into, it was musically, it was Elvis, then Jagger, then Zappa, then Rahsaan Roland Kirk, and then all the doors just flew open after Kirk.
Roland Kirk. That is beautiful. So we'll get into music really soon, but did your mom and dad raise you a particular religion?
No, well, no, Mom had to. I think Mom was agnostic. Her mother was Christian Scientist, and that just wasn't going to cut it. And with my mother. And so Mom raised this Presbyterian.
Do you pray?
But I'm not. I have no icon.
Do you pray?
Huh? Do I pray?
Yeah.
I don't know what your definition is, but I kind of doubt it. I don't wish or hope either. I aspire, which puts me on the track, and then I just go after the goal. And if something gets in my way, I either expected it or I didn't. I'm not much about hope, wish, and prayer. Prayer is different. It depends on your definition. Because if prayer means to just focus in quiet and go off into some nowhere that keeps you grounded, well, I guess that's prayer or meditation or whatever. But otherwise, praying on an icon or a wish or a hope, no, I don't do that.
If God exists, what would you like God to say to you after you die?
Well, now you put me into kind of a dreamy place. If, what can I say if? What would I say if there was some sort of a gigantic icon with a gigantic eye and a gigantic hand and a whispering mouth? What was the question?
What would you want him to say to you after you die?
Oh, and a male one at that. What would I want him to say?
I shouldn't have said he. I should have said, what would you like God to say to you after you die? Yeah, I missed.
But you okay. What after I die?
After you die.
Are you killing me? Jerry,
Yeah, what do you want God to say to you after you die?
There is no after I die. There is no me after I die. There's you if I die before you.
There is no me after I die. That is beautiful. There is no me after I die. That is good. You know, Paul Krasner says, I only believe in reincarnation in one of my past lives.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, Jerry. Yeah. I don't know who the hell you are, pardon me, but I'll be damned if you aren't well read. Holy shit, your listeners ought to know that. My goodness.
Okay, you touched on this, Artis. You have ESP. Do evil people exist, or does evil use people as a vehicle?
Now, tell her hi, or she's wearing a wig.
Susie, my wife, is a great singer. She sings like Bessie Smith. You would love her. You guys could jam together.
Awesome. Hi, Bessie.
You touched on this one. Do evil people exist, or does evil use people as a vehicle?
But I didn't touch on the word evil. I never said evil.
Oh, no, you didn't say evil. We're going into enemy. So, yeah.
Enemies.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the next question includes enemy. So I misspoke. Yeah.
Okay, so then, here I go again. Sorry, audience. Would you repeat it again, please?
Yeah. No, that's right. Do evil people exist, or does evil use people as a vehicle?
Well, if you use evil, okay, I'll go with evil. But if evil means ultimately awful, so if evil, because evil is used usually in a biblical or some sort of book sense, but so is awful. So, well, anyway, if ultimately a quintessentially awful person, if they exist, then of course they influence. So, I mean, I don't know. That's almost how you say redundant. Not to criticize you, Jerry, but
no, it is redundant, and it's a stupid question. But really, the hidden question is, how do you advise someone to deal with an enemy?
Well, I don't think I would. I don't know. That's something then I would. I would, of course, advise an innocent if I knew what I was talking about. Depending on the age and the ability to conceive my words and ideas, I would pretty much think that first thing I'd do is make sure they could identify that person as a threat, and then deal from there. And I guess, I mean, I don't believe in nonviolence, although I do believe in nonviolence. I just don't know that it's the only way But otherwise, I would say, chill, think, and get away from the damage.
Yeah, because here's Alan Watts. I'll give you a couple quotes and you respond if you want. First one's Alan Watts. If you acknowledge your enemy, you empower them.
Yeah. I mean, okay, yes isn't enough, but that's right. I mean, that's what I was saying earlier. If you acknowledge your enemy, that's a deep part. That word, acknowledge, is deep because gosh, I don't know. Enemy is a hard one. I sure have enemies, and I think I just have to adjust their identity in my own self. I just have to figure out that they're somewhere along the way, they're not an enemy, and get into that little hole. Figure it out. Because if they're an enemy and that's all they are, I gotta run, I reckon. That's what I do, I guess, primal.
Well, here's JFK. Forgive your enemy, but don't forget their name.
JFK. Forgive. I don't believe in forgiving outside. I believe only that you can forgive means give first. So you kind of have to, it's like I say to some people, the first thing in the morning, that's the first thing in the morning. You get up and you bathe, you nourish, and you contemplate the day, and then those three things, and then you go out and serve, whether you've got a job cleaning the hotel or you're the president. I don't know, whatever the president means, if that's an icon to your country. But that seems to me to be the answer to whatever your question was. What was it?
No, you responded to JFK's quote, forgive your enemy, but don't forget their name.
Yeah. So you don't forgive your enemy, you forgive first, and then you suss the world. But yeah, I suppose in his terminology that seems right. You have to grok your enemy from a point of knowing the enemy. It's tough.
Okay.
I mean, I always consider myself the loser. When it comes to a battle, I lost. If it's a win-lose situation, if it's something in a way, I don't do contests. I turn around and walk away.
Yeah. Well, in real life, we don't know who wins or loses, but we can tell who a hero is. In Gregory Bateson, the anthropologist, says, hey, if the criminal gets caught, does he go, whoa, my criminal skills weren't up to snuff? Or does he go, wow, I did something wrong? So the question is, does punishment work?
Probably not as well as enticement to the alternative.
Yeah. James Joyce was the first projectionist in Dublin. He checked out. He said, this is stupid. Why should I go inside a building and see a movie of a tree when I can go outside and see a real tree?
And I'm going to turn that back for one, because punishment is a pretty queer word. And so is the alternative. If you've got someone who just can't get out of their spine, and their spine is absolutely mortified, terrified, and you still need training. Yeah, training rather than punishment. But that'll be training, because you have to. The one thing I was away from punishment is incarceration, and I'm claustrophobic. To even say the word kills me, or hurts me. But incarceration would have to be, in some cases, one would have to be incarcerated, but at the same time, definitely healed, if you like. I don't like that, but treated rather than punished. Yeah, whatever. Let's go on to the next one. What was it?
No, treated is good. Rehabilitation is beautiful. Yeah, there is an alternative because so yeah, when Faulkner said sometimes the best fiction is more true than journalism. Artists, why do we have to recreate things in order to get them? Why do we have to go to a theatrical play of people acting out life? Why don't we just live life?
Well, there's some things you can't do. Living life that you can do on stage. Shakespeare, I believe it was, who said, you can't bring death home to the audience. So everybody knows is going to stand up and walk away when the curtain falls. So you can't do that in live theater. On the sidewalk, you get hit by a car. You actually got hit by a car. And life goes on to, deal with that. But you get hit on stage and you just stand up and go away. So witnessing it is not the same as experiencing it.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly your question, but that's
no, that was good because it reminded me of the guy who played Hitler in Mel Brooks' film, The Producer. What was?
Oh no, I don't remember that. I was thinking.
Yeah, no, he was on stage in San Diego doing a routine, and he died. And everybody thought he faked it.
Yeah.
And he was dead. Well, Colonel Bruce Hampton, same thing. He's playing his his birthday gig in Atlanta, and he hit a note and fell over dead. And that was it. But this is now the time where we go into music a little. Artists, what was the tipping point for you to pursue being a musician, being a spoons player? What are you listening to growing up that led you to even know what that instrument was? Do you play other instruments? Did you study music in high school or college? Like, just tell us the history briefly of your tipping point where you go, that's what I want to do.
All right, here you go. I had a feeling this was coming. So, and it is, and it's fine. I'm in the process and have been for many years, and more so now, but still I need professional assistance. But I'm writing my story.
Good.
And it's I'll say it's pretty complex and involved. I first I got a pair of spoons given to me from my mom for my birthday, my 10th birthday. She gave my sister a pair as well, and I played mine along with. The thing is, what I did is I listened to Elvis, and I was never restricted. This was in the 50s. I was born in 48, and so in the mid 50s, along came Elvis, but I had already. Mom used to sing us to sleep. We're singing all the time. It was around the house. So, but Mom was really keen on Jolson and all those cats back in the 30s. And she'd sing that stuff, and we learned that. But well, along came Elvis. I was probably 7-ish, and there was no escaping him. It was really not for me. So thing is, he opened my voice. I actually got to open my voice and sing out and actually find places where my voice would not ordinarily reach, because you don't sing out when you're talking. And Mom never told me to turn it off. Occasionally she had me turn it down, but not when it came to singing and such. So and Elvis had a voice. He actually did. And you can listen to him if you know anything about him. I mean, about voices. And you can see he covered a few octaves, but whatever few he covered them pretty accurately, his notes. So then, of course, Jagger saved me from him, and Zappa from them. But what happened in the process is, after Mom bought me the spoons, Well, and they were the kind with a handle held onto them. They weren't like
Yeah.
two spoons. They just and they, and I play along with Elvis. I play along with this Latin type stuff. He did a movie called Fun in Acapulco, and then that was Latin. Some of it would derive to Latin, and they had the Latin rhythms, and that fits excellent with spoons. And I don't know when I first did this, but eventually, what really fits with spoons, I found later, is Middle East. The Middle Eastern rhythms. And so I'm going to tell you what I know of the history of spoon playing, okay? We'll get back to me.
Yeah.
As far as I know, about 5 or so many hundred years ago, this is just as far as I know. But as far as I know, they originated around Georgia, north of Turkey, southeast, Georgia, Russia area. And apparently originated around there, Turkey, like I said. And they wound up going in directions from there, going east and west, going into Southeast Asia, where they play them in Cambodia, and then going west into the Middle East, and then across North Africa, and then by water, which I think most of them did, by water to Ireland. And then as far as I imagine, in Ireland, they happened, and eventually over to England, and then by England to this country. And then as far as the Appalachians eventually, because that's all we were at so far. And then north and south. Well, north in the Appalachians into Canada is Acadia.
Yeah.
And south is the Cajuns. It's the same word. And so it went down into the Delta, and then eventually through the Ozarks and up into the the Northwest, I guess. So
amazing.
That's
you really summed up an amazing history there. But once you started playing, I'm talking about, because we'll look forward to your book and where you really suss it out. Don't be sorry, that was great history. But once you started playing, what role did intention play? Because a screenwriting teacher told me great art is when you can clearly see the intention of the maker. Kubrick says the opposite. Great art, great music is when you can clearly not see the intention of the maker. What role does intention play in your creative process?
Okay, wait a minute. I got the Kubrick one. What was the one previous? How did they say it?
They said the opposite of Kubrick. They said great art is when you can clearly see the intention. Kubrick says great art is when you can clearly not see the intention.
That is so, because it's exactly both with me.
It's both, yeah.
It is, in fact, because I had no idea. Spoons, are you kidding me? I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to be a singer and a guitarist. Come on, man. And then I remember my aha moment, as they call it. And I'm standing in front of a jukebox in a bar right downstairs from where I lived, and playing like crazy. And I had been for several months. And I was standing in front of the jukebox playing, and I realized, oh, for crying out loud, it's Spoons. Oh, you can't be serious. But yeah, I mean, I was already famous just playing in the bars downstairs. People were coming to see me. I had no idea, because I was just standing around playing the jukebox, having a wild life.
But then what's the transition? Because Marcel Duchamp said there's no art without an audience. How much do you think of your listener when you're playing your spoons?
There's no time I don't think of the listener. If I happen to be playing alone, I'm playing to somebody else. I don't need that. I play spoons. Are you kidding? I mean, alone. I mean, I mean, I can play along with some music alone, and I can see if I tracked it or not. But spoons, give me a break. Spoons. That's not exactly a guitar, I mean, or a piano, you know? I mean, spoons are bang, 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 bang. And the faster you play, the more melodic you can play. And that's all very interesting, but not without music. All it is clangety clang otherwise.
Okay, this is
How they
another
call it clickety clack, they call it.
clickety clack. Well, this is leading perfectly into these question artists. I appreciate your time. McLuhan says everything we invent extends some humanness, like a knife and fork extends our teeth. The shutter in a camera extends our eyelid. And maybe philosophy extends our consciousness. What does the spoon extend for you? What do spoons, what humanness do they extend for you?
Well, I don't know, but the first thing I would think is feed and food. I mean, really. I mean, I can't help it. It's just a boom, boom came to mind. I could think about it and think differently, I'm sure, or whatever, maybe not. I mean, I wouldn't have said that was an initial reason or something like that. But, imaginarily, I suppose, or ideologically, however you call it, philosophically. I mean, sure, spoons feed. And music is food. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Zappa's not food. Cigarettes and wine aren't food. Or cigarettes and coffee aren't food, like he said.
Yeah.
Too bad. But
that's good because Aaron Copland said the 4 ingredients. You touched on one of these already. The 4 ingredients of music are melody, harmony, rhythm, and tone color. How do you integrate the 4 playing spoons?
What was the 4th one?
Tone color, melody, harmony, rhythm, and tone color.
Oh.
How do you integrate, and which ones do you focus on of the 4?
Melody, harmony, rhythm, and tone color. Well, I know. Wow. If I was only so deep as to think of tone color first. And I do, I think, but I kind of do, but that's only my imagination. I would have to say melody. And I think of melody as the lead, because I would think always the lead instrument is all I didn't know bass or drum existed until I don't know when. I mean, way into being a Spoonman. Far as I knew, there was only such thing as a vocal, the lead sax, the lead guitar, especially. I mean, if the drum was taking the lead, then it was that I'd pay attention to it. Melody.
Yeah. You're a melody guy. That's amazing. And you would think you would say rhythm first, but this is my friend says that. Say it again.
The Soundgarden crew said so. I found out 20 years later. They didn't think I could count, and I can't. If I could count, I'd lose track of what I'm playing to.
Right. Well, that's the, Thelonious Monk says there
God damn it, Derek. You read. Oh.
Thelonious Monk said there are no wrong notes. Any comment?
You're damn right. Nor is there a wrong pattern for those notes.
Say that again.
Nor is there a wrong pattern for those notes.
But ironically, Monk also said that music is math.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily the consciousness of the creator, if you like, or the composer. That's not, the composer doesn't necessarily mathemize the tunes. It just happens that way. It's like you might be able to design that road, make sure it doesn't flood and the drains just so, but you wouldn't know it was math until after somebody decided that, hey, we want it that way and so is dead. How are we going to do it? And then you come up to the math.
Yeah, because this is Thelonious Monk also said, silence is the loudest sound in the universe.
Okay.
And Miles talks about the space between notes. In fact, George Clinton, Parliament Funkadelic, says, funk is the absence of. how do you?
You said funk is the absence of.
Yeah. How do you integrate silence? How do you know when not to play?
When you're listening.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all you're doing when you're not playing, is you're listening.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still a creative process. You might not be playing when you imagine what you're listening to, but when the what's that called, the crescendo comes to where you're going to ignite, you feel that, you know, that next note is your initiation.
Yeah. You said an important word, listen. Most people don't know that so much of music is listening, but my friend says the 3 T's of music are technique, theory, and taste. You've learned the technique. You might know the structure. How does one acquire taste?
You don't acquire it, do you?
How do you get taste? Like, what led you to Elvis instead of Perry Como, say, you know?
Oh, I heard Doug Perry Como too. Oh, yeah. Oh, I even sing along with Perry Como, yeah. And that thank you for your letters or something back. Sure. I watched all the musicals.
How much is that doggy in the window?
Yeah, that's Patty Page.
But I mean, how does one acquire taste?
Oh, well, same reason.
I mean, you're right. The verb is wrong. But I mean, you know what I'm trying. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's good.
How did you form? Maybe form is a better word. How did you form?
No, that's okay. I get that. That's nice to be semantic, though. But even then, acquire just means assimilate, not necessarily proactively.
Yeah.
So, yeah. How do you do that? Okay, that's probably primal. That's Bessie.
Susie.
Hi, Susie.
Hi.
God, it's good to meet you. Thank you. Oh, there you go. I love your hair. Huh?
I love you. I love you.
Oh, thank you.
Susie, you want to hear a great Susie artist? You'll love this. This is Bessie Smith was setting up her tent. You know, they were setting up the tent for her to perform down south. And the Ku Klux Klan came around. And this is what Bessie said to him.
What the fuck are you doing here? Get the fuck out of here right now.
Yeah. She's an icon. She's so heavy. She's so heavy. Just what was your other question? Bessie Smith, yeah.
Yeah, well, here's
what she sacrificed for her people.
What, Susie, what did Janis Joplin say about Bessie?
Oh, the best quote. It's a joke and a huge compliment. Bessie Smith showed me the air and taught me how to fill it.
Yeah. See? That's exactly what you were talking about. Listening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Showed me the air and how to fill it. Okay. Tell me an instrumental that makes you laugh.
Oh. Well, I mean, it must have been something the Fugs did. I don't know.
Oh my God. The Fugs were great, but they didn't do instrumentals, did they?
An instrumental. Oh.
Yeah. Because like how could a song make you laugh with no words? I mean, don't you?
You know, that happens. You know, how do I'm sure Zappa has done instrumentals like that. The first thing that came to mind was a fart. Okay. Yeah. And if it's so particularly placed, a sound, whether it's a fart or a baby crying or not crying, but cooing,
Yeah.
But if there's the oddball note, the really odd broadside note, I like doing this myself. I mean, having an explosion or a foghorn or something going off in the middle of a waltz. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's funny.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Spike,
He was really funny.
Spike
Spike Jones, yeah.
Again, though, Spike did a lot of vocal things too, but he did instrumentals. But here's what I want to know, Artis, because you performed before a lot of people. And Ruth Draper said the key is to bring the audience up onto the stage and into the scene with you. It is they who must give you even more than you give them in the way of imagination and creative power. That sounds good, but how do you do that?
Go ask Iggy. Iggy knows.
That is a great response.
Yeah.
Iggy, he said, my band was so bad at imitating the Rolling Stones, we invented punk rock.
There you go.
Okay. But here's
we met Iggy in Sweden once upon a time.
Yeah.
He is just the guy. Damn.
Yeah.
He comes running out. He's twice the age of anyone else in his band. It's got to be post Stooges. This is like in the 90s. And he comes running out with no shirt on. It's freaking Sweden. Summertime, yeah, but it's night, Yeah. And he comes running out and I just want to live a little bit longer. And when the whole show is over, and it's an hour show, I'm pretty sure, he goes backstage, and there I am with my companion, Mary, and he's hollering. He's only got one person with him. Maybe he's a manager or something, but he's, an older guy. And there's Iggy standing backstage calling his name and said, I'm cold. And he's got no shirt on. And I suggested to my companion that here, I had a blanket that I cut a hole in as a poncho. I said, here, take this to him. So she took it to him and gave it to him, and he used it. And then she said to him, my companion, he thinks I look like you. And he didn't say anything. Anyway, that's my Iggy Pop story.
Okay, here's Leonard Cohen said, the only way you can sell a concert is to put yourself at risk. And if you don't do that, people know.
Oh.
What role does risk play in your creative process?
Why not? How can you possibly how can you do it? If you're pretentious, of course you do pretend on stage, but if you're pretentious inside, how can you stand in the wings without a sense of fear? How can you do that?
Well, what does courage mean to you now?
Well, the first thing I thought was running away.
Wow.
I think if you have the courage to get out of there, that's pretty big non-chicken shit stuff. If you know enough to go away and get out of there right now, if that resolves the situation for you or everybody, that seems to me to be the most courageous thing to do. Everything else is guesswork.
Well, another one is Viola Spolin. If the audience cannot see your struggle to achieve something, they cannot root for you to achieve it. What role does struggle play in your creative process?
Yeah. Well, it's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to me. But I want to go back to courage, but even then, getting out of there, that is courage. My life was saved a few weeks ago. I fell overboard between the dinghy and the boat. And as I fell, the first word out of my mind, out of my head, out of my mouth, I still haven't hit the water yet. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Because I knew these two men at that point were responsible for my life. I swear to you, this is the truth. This is what happened. And, and they instantly endangered their lives because none of us had a life jacket on. That's my stupidity. And theirs too, if they didn't. But there was no way I would have survived it, period. And I wouldn't have known to be afraid at the moment. I wasn't afraid at any time. I was just sorry. But again, I forgot the drift of your question, which made me
it was basically what role does struggle play? And you told a story. And that's what I'm all about, hearing stories, anecdotes. You don't have to answer the question. It's just a prompt, because basically I was curious, where'd you get that from to say I'm sorry? The way your mom raised you, or on your own? Where'd you get that sense of saying I'm sorry?
Well, I don't know, responsibility for myself.
Yeah.
I mean, in our interjection to try to, in our process to get me online here, we both were doing that, but it was being responsible, I guess, for my own lack of the audience doesn't know it, but it took us a half hour to be able to get this live, and that just had to do with the fact I had the wrong computer or whatever, but programs. But yeah, it's being responsible, and I guess it's a form of honesty within oneself. I think there's 3 keeps.
Yeah.
1 is secrecy, which is kept usually for a form of corruption.
Yeah.
2, or another, is surprise, which is usually kept for some elation or some form of joy and merriment.
Yeah.
And the 3rd is privacy.
Yeah.
It's your birthright. You're born with the right to have privacy.
Yeah.
And in that, I forgot again what triggered it.
No, that was good, because you talked about honesty. I wanted to ask you that.
Yeah.
Buñuel said, I'm for anyone who seeks the truth, but I part ways when they claim they found it.
Yeah, no doubt. I try to avoid. I forget where I read it, but I try to avoid. I remember hearing somewhere, never trust somebody who says, trust me.
Yeah, because this is Marcel Proust. On what occasion do you lie?
Oh, under an immediate spinal fear. When I think, also, I guess not just spinal, but also like I usually use the adage or the example of a cop asking me a question. I usually say, I don't lie to you unless you're a cop, or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is probably so too in a way, but I don't have to lie to cops. And when I lie, and I've caught myself, I usually try to get right back and apologize for that.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, then to apologize, I have to sort of finagle a reason or a way to retract that. And
Yeah.
I'm not beyond lying. I don't want to. I do test myself. I do assign myself a path toward honesty in any situation.
Yeah. That's when they asked Tom Waits, on what occasion do you lie? He says, I didn't know I needed an occasion.
Good. Yeah,
but
thanks, Tom. Hey, he's still with us. I love that guy.
I know it. He is. So, but here's Eartha Kitt. Truth is a theory that is constantly being disproved. Only lies, it seems, go on forever.
Good. Thank you. Good old Eartha Kitt. What was it she did back? That was the 50s too. My goodness.
Yeah. She's the real deal. Okay, here's A jazz writer, Ben Ratliff, he says, I mean sound as it has long functioned among jazz players as a mystical term of art. As in every musician finally needs a sound, a full and sensible embodiment of their artistic personality such that it can be heard in a single note. So like me or you can hear Miles, and Ben Ratliff would say, he's fragile and pointed. So he would condense his sound to 2 words. He said Coltrane, slightly undercooked and urgent. If a music writer that you really respected was going to condense Artis the Spoonman's sound into 2 words, what 2 words would you be grateful? And you go, oh, that guy got me.
Polarity and gravity.
Oh my God. But I know what hilarity is. What would
No,
you
not hilarity, polarity.
Oh, polarity and gravity. We'll explain the gravity part. We'll explain them both. I'm curious.
Well, first of all, then I'll explain it in the other way around. Is polar is like, as I understand, or at least as I involve my thoughts, is sound is a linear wave, and it goes, like, so I think of it as going from north to south, for instance, as far as polar goes. And so on one pole, there's music, and on the other pole, there's noise. And most of it is all, in the mix, as the polar waves are.
Yeah.
And the definition of music or noise is, in fact, as personal as diet or religious theories or, taste or, what have you. It's all particularly your own. Yeah. And the gravity, if you call a note, that's beautiful. If a note is music to you, that is perfectly it, because it is a note. There's a place in the melody or the tone. There's a place where the weight that fits. That's what attracted me. You may not discern it, but that's it. And so, but that has to be perceived, if not exactly heard. And that's the gravity, just like we use the word gravity, the gravity of the intensity of the situation, where gravity is concentrating it, holding it down, identifying it, or how you say, maybe exemplifying it, those aren't the words, but intensifying. So polarity, the placement of the note, and the intensity of the note.
Yeah, that is good. Placement and intensity. Really well put. And so this is Frank Zappa talking about Paulina Oliveras in 1969. And he was talking about her work with sound. You kind of touched on this. Above the audible and below the audible, creating a mass. And here's what Frank said. Not that it created a mass, it created something audible. It produced a some indifference tone, which happened to be located within the audible frequency range. By combining something so high you couldn't hear it and something so low you couldn't hear it, it yields something in the middle you could hear. Whether you like that or not, the sound in the middle is another question. The concept is brilliant. What do you think of this some indifference tone? This something so high and something so low.
The terms at the very beginning of the sentence, sum, total, S-U-M. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's like you got a room there, Well, what's the sum indifference? It's your thought process. He's dealing with me, but you got the whole damn room. I got the whole room here. It's the sum, it's a sum indifference. It focuses it right here. And even that, it's not. It's focused out there in the freaking Netherlands that communicates us. So, yeah, I completely get that. It's the sum. I mean, it's the focal point of the sum. The sum cannot be fully grokked. They overuse the term, but it cannot be fully acknowledged or expressed. Can't be. I don't mean you can identify. I mean you can emulate. You can emulate it. No, you can intimidate it.
You can what?
You can intimate it.
Intimate it. Evoke it.
Huh?
Evoke
What's the word I'm looking for? Imitate.
Imitate.
Yeah. So yeah, you can imitate it, but that you have to do a lot. One note imitates it anyway, but you might not imagine that.
You know what it is? You're touching on some deep things. It's McLuhan called it matching or making. So, are you just regurgitating something that already happened, or are you making something new? And this is what Harold Bloom said so beautifully. He says, you absorb your influence, then you abandon them. Good luck. Like, how do you not become a clone of your influence? You want to be influenced by them, but then you let go of them and become yourself. That's hard.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if that's art as such.
No, that's hard.
Oh, hard, difficult.
Hard
yeah. I think, well, the brain is a little less simple than a sponge. We're not, the brain is not a sponge. I mean, I don't know what it is, but it's not a sponge. It doesn't just absorb and then excrete. It's got to be deeper than that. But I don't agree that you receive and then discard. I do think we interpret.
Yeah, interpret's good.
And in interpret, I like discard. It can be done, but you can't just be. I don't just increase my vocabulary. I also decrease it. I throw words away.
Yes, that's
I don't want to use. The example would be sunset and sunrise. I don't do it. The sun does not set or rise. The freaking earth revolves. Now, God damn it, will you stop already? The sun is not moving. It doesn't make it any less beautiful. I'm telling you, it's just not moving.
That's good. Is perception reality?
Reality is the key phrase there, because reality is got to be conceptual. Reality, is a perception. Yeah, it must be, because all aspects of what one perceives outside one's perceptions is only that. It's a perception. I can't imagine reality being first.
Well, Lily Tomlin said reality is just a collective hunch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. What was the motive of the cave artists, the cave musicians? What was their motive? What's your guess or hunch?
Well, again, you got to go to silence. So what was their motive?
Yeah.
The first thing that came to mind was wind.
Wind?
Yeah, but that's just what came to mind. I mean, I'm imagining myself in a cave, and I didn't hear the insects chirping at first. I heard just now. I mean, I was imagining myself, and I heard the wind go by. But insects chirping if it wasn't a windy day. I don't know. I mean, of course, it's silence again. It's silence enough in your brain, so you're not thinking. Now, that's a hard aspect that is difficult for me to conjure when my thoughts are always talking inside instead of just listening. And if I was in the caves 200,000 years ago, I'm pretty sure that I was just listening, or my stomach was growling or grunting or something. But if
you got,
did you say music?
You got major ESP, because the next question is, a poet said that poetry is outing your inner dialogue. What language is your inner dialogue in?
Oh, yeah. Well, it has to be just sound.
Yeah.
And but then, yeah, I got all five senses. No, that's my imagination. Dialogue was the catch, and dialogue's done in spoken word.
Well, it's really it's more metaphorically, what form is your inner consciousness in?
I think it's in hearing. And they say, I've heard say that our human primary sense is optical, and I kind of get that, but
Wow.
but I wonder if mine is, because a lot of the times I'll be walking along or thinking or what have you, and I don't see. I have to focus to see if I'm driving, but I don't. It's not I don't see. It's just I'm not paying attention to, or I'm deep. What do you call that? Defaulting. Just seeing by rote and listening more. But I don't know. I don't really know. It's got.
Well, it's funny. If you ever read Finnegan's Wake by James Joyce out loud, you're taking an eye experience into an ear experience, because you have to read it out loud with a group of people. So it's sense ratio shifting. So that's what, when you shift that, so what's more important, conviction or compromise?
Well, compromise. You get to keep your conviction if you compromise and it's correct. I mean, if you compromise and then your conviction is achieved, you can't. You then you have the relaxation of, well, you have conquer, I guess. If you relax and compromise, if that's the case, because you are being challenged if you compromise. So if you relax and compromise and your conviction is then perceived by others, then you have achieved an accomplishment or and if it's not, if what you perceive is not, if you compromise and your conviction is not proven, then you've also kind of won out. Yeah, compromise.
Very good. So you've accomplished things in your life. How do you rate these three elements overall? Luck, skill, and ambition. What played the biggest role, second and third?
Oh, ambition. Luck doesn't play a role. I mean, yeah, ambition. And then what was it? Goal? No.
Luck, skill, and ambition.
Yeah, it's just the opposite. Just go right back up.
Okay.
Ambition, goal, struggle, I think you said.
Skill, yeah.
Skill, yeah. The skill, exactly, yeah, skill and luck. Luck, I don't think, no. Ambition and skill, because skill also involves focus and determination. And luck doesn't play as much role. And,
Gary Player, the golfer, said, the more you practice, the luckier you get.
Okay, that's nice. That's just the play on words, but I get that.
Dude, okay. So two of my film heroes say, ignore yourself. There's no self-expression. In fact, Cecil Taylor, the great jazz pianist, says, I'm just a vehicle and this stuff just comes through me. Is art making, music making more self-expression, or more you're a vehicle for whatever technologies, environments, and cultures are dominant?
But what else is self-expression but that mixture and expressing? I mean, if it's your expression, it's your expression. I still agree that, or I perceive or think that that's everything. I mean, like, an explosion is music to some people, and the chirp of a freaking bug is music to some.
Well, they asked They asked Ginger Baker, where'd you get your sound? He says, I was in London when they were bombing. Boom, 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 boom. You know, so he was just, but here's what I'm curious about. Can art making, music making be egoless?
Oh, ego. Well, ego. That's a tough one. I've been trying to define that. I was reading something, I forget who, I don't remember, some philosopher recently about ego. I reread it too, but I who was it? It was Freud and somebody. It was a conversation or something. But ego is not me, I don't think. And so it leads me into a big a big query, because what am I expressing what I think and want to be received as music? Well, I don't think music anyway. I think entertainment, frankly, for myself. But when I'm experiencing music, then I'm only responding. And then, of course, I want it to be received. And I play very hard for the audience, or I play if the audience is a musician, whatever. I listen, and I act on those beats and the tone and the music, and or what I perceive as music. And ego, yeah, I don't think I ever forget that it's me, and it's important for me to be on, but not necessarily important to be on for me. It's important to be on because I don't want to screw it up for somebody, whether they're listening or interacting. But I don't think it matters while I'm in it if it's for me. So I don't think ego, if that's the case, if ego means me, well then no, it's not all ego. There's stuff you can't annoy. Spine, I don't think has ego. And I think ego is all up in here somewhere, and they meet. But when it comes to just primal, I don't think, no. I don't think so-called me gets there. I think that whatever me it is, it's already, it gets expressed afterwards. The spine is really essential primal stuff. I don't think so. Anyway,
Really
I'm playing to somebody and just spinal reacting. I don't think that's ego.
No, it was really well put. You communicate well to me, and I feel I'm understanding you. Artis, this one is like, you've been playing the spoons for many years. Tell me one major element that stayed the same and one major element that's changed in playing the spoons.
Well, the major element that hasn't changed, remained the same, as you say, is my attention to melody. And what has changed is my ego, the vanity of my ego, struggling with so-called success. Because all I ever aspired to is be a rock star. And now here I am, a rock star after a fashion. I got my piece of how somebody said 15 minutes. Well, I got 12. But but to get that, and from the earlier point, which what I aspired to.
Yeah.
And I accomplished what I aspired to. Some people have said to me. People
okay. Yeah, no, you've done well. I mean, I recommend people go to your website. It's beautiful, the listings of who you played with and what you've done. So this is Moshe Feldenkrais. He works with healing and movement. He says it's literally possible to identify a weakness and incorporate it to become a strength, rather than we're normally taught to overcome a weakness. Tell me a weakness you turned into a strength.
I don't know how. Gosh, the only thing that comes to mind is pretty brutal. And I'm not sure exactly how it became a strength. Like, I don't see that. Violence, physical violence.
You mean you learn to heal from it, or?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say I've learned to heal. I'm in a pretty reasonable process. Yeah, I haven't done any hands-on violence for over 30 years. There's violence and screaming. I've tried to use only the stage, but that's not altogether fair unless it's a play and it's expressed as such, which I do. That I do express. I do warn people of my expressions on stage, but overcoming violent reactions to personal desire or expectations. That's I've managed some of it, but
Fill in the blank. Anger can be a productive emotion when
when you're trying to get a goddamn nail out of the wood with your hand. Yeah. Oh, get mad at it. Guy said to me, oh shit, yes. God damn it. When you're trying to do something productive, do something destructive. I said that. How about that?
Well, it almost goes along with the next question. You create what you resist. Bob Goldthwait morphed it into you are what you hate. And Louis Buñuel said, thank God I'm an atheist. What do you think of this line? I'm not saying you, I'm saying you create what you resist. One creates what one resists.
Yeah.
What do you think of that line?
Well, I mean, just automatically, without thinking of it for a minute, I'd say yes. What do I think of it is that what one creates what one resists. And I would say, yeah, okay. Because that's immediately, without thinking about it, I realize I do that. And I don't know that I do it blanket, but I do that definitely. And I realize it when I do. And so then maybe I can alter the process, but continuation stuff. But I think there's a place because resistance seems to be a nature of an equality. I don't know what the electricians say about a resistance, but but there's got to be something equal in resistance, and in order for that to come to that particular tension, there must be a relationship to it, and seems to me.
Yeah. How do you find peace of mind?
Well, I don't believe in peace. I believe in nonviolence. I believe in it. Peace, I don't think so. How do you find peace of mind when you stub your toe? Damn it! Damn it! It hurts! You're still in the process of climbing the damn stairs to, your dinner. What the fuck?
You got a great laugh. So can you forget to die?
Oh, I don't think so. That's a good one. Oh, I don't think so. I suppose, and one would hope, I would aspire to forget finishing before I die. I mean, it would be nice to forget that I have to finish something before I die and actually feel complete. Because I don't think that feeling complete is really, it's what I aspire to. I want to have all my goals done before I die, and therefore complete my life before I die. That's all very kind of puzzling at best, contradictory, I suppose.
It sounds like Zappa said, "I'm a failure, but I'm not a miserable failure."
That's good. Moreover, if you can manage it, he could.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Okay, these are 5 quick Alan Watts questions.
I'm glad he said that. I'm really glad that he acknowledged being a failure. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. In a lot of ways he wasn't, but he could say that he's not miserable. It's human to fail. And if you can admit it, then you can move on. It's like,
he was miserable in the last 2 years though.
I felt your line, I aspire to forget about finishing. You don't have to finish anything. It's a continuum. In fact, this is sort of goes along.
I do. I have to finish. I got to finish that book. And I've got a couple other great aspirations. I think you do have to finish your aspirations until your aspiration is to forget about it and just die.
Well, that's
not be concerned about it.
That's James Joyce said, remember to forget.
Yeah. I forgot to remember to forget. Elvis, 1956.
All right.
But
okay.
He didn't write it. He never wrote any of his stuff. You know that.
Yeah.
He only wrote a couple of things in a couple of albums.
Dude, what really impressed me about Elvis is the first time he ever's on film, his backup band is all blacks.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and he had a lot of his stuff was black.
Yeah.
If you like. I mean, a lot of it was white. Yeah.
But, okay, here's 5 Alan Watts questions, just short, brief, in a couple words. 1, who started it all?
Wait a minute, I got to take a sip of my Alan Watts. He always had that whiskey, right, or something like that. Okay, what was the question? I'm sorry.
First question, just in a couple words, off the top of your head, who started it all?
Well, whoever imagined the concept of God.
2, are we going to make it?
Make it. If making it is peace, no.
3, where do we put it?
In our mouths.
Beautiful. 4, who's cleaning it up?
I ain't getting cleaned up.
5, is it serious?
Yeah.
Okay, I like Zappa also. He says, I'm very serious about being not serious.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. A couple more and we're out of here, Artis. It's been truly fun and enlightening. I've had a ball.
No, so have I.
Okay.
Way over and out and every which way from what I expected. And I expected it to be really good.
If you were walking down the street today and you met yourself as a 12-year-old, what would you say to your 12-year-old self?
I do this. I would hug him. And I would say, you made it, kiddo. Just keep up. Just, you made it. You achieved that rock star you want to be, and you've achieved all those other crippled thoughts, but you did okay. Beautiful. And that hug him tight. And I know, and I would cry because I know he didn't feel it, but that's okay. That's what I think. That's what I do. I hug the 18-year-old especially.
Yeah. Dude, I know when these go good. I do 4 a week and I haven't teared up in a while. That really hit me hard and I teared up, and I know it's a success when either I or the person I'm interviewing tears up. So thank you for that. Because my mom taught me when tears come out of your eyes, it's not only an emotional release, it's getting toxins out of your body. It's both emotional and physical.
You bet.
Thank you.
I got Gerry. I at least 1 and maybe 2, and that's it. I have one question to ask you. Why me? Whatever prompted you to do this?
Because I like to interview anybody who's willing to talk for 90 minutes. So if I send them the invite and they go, yes, I'm there. It doesn't matter if they're famous, not famous. It is not. There's already enough people who are famous who get time. It's me being able to sit down and talk with someone and have a dialogue and a conversation, have fun.
What brought me to mind?
Well, I ran across, I just, I know you played with Frank and, in my, I'm just always, it doesn't, it's always like, I'm just looking all over the world for whoever's cool, fun. And, I mean, there's fine line connections. Usually it's film or books or music or art. So, I know what you did. And, once I went to your website and I've known your history. I mean, we've talked over the years, So which way should toilet paper come off the roll, over or under?
Over, of course.
Okay, this question applies. If a publisher was going to release your autobiography off the top of your head, what would the title be?
I'm not telling you.
All right. That's a good title. I'm not telling. It'll go, Artis said on Gerry's podcast that the name of his book was I'm Not Telling. Now he's changed it to Okay.
Gerry, the second question, I don't know. It's way out there. You've already said it. So I was just going to ask you, the complex, like, why are you who you are? I wouldn't have said it that way, but what brought you to where you are doing this? But you said it. You said it enough when you were talking about how I wound up going through your head. So I see how.
And it's also being inquisitive. This series is about inventing new questions and new metaphors. Like if I go, is it this or that? And you go, what's that? That's fine. But really is like, well, let's ponder and take the question a step further. Like, what's another question? Why I wouldn't use this word. I would use aspire instead of this word. So it's like me and you versus the wording on the questions. So we sort of mold it together. We're co-creators. Because this one is like, if the publisher of your book wants to scent the glue in the binding, what smell would it be?
Amber.
Beautiful. If a statue was built in your honor, where would you want it displayed and what would it be made of?
Ashes underground.
Nice. Artis, tell me something good you never had and you never want.
Sex with Aphrodite.
That's good. You never had it and you never want it. Give me a high five. That is a good answer. Okay. If you were in a vat of vomit up to your neck and someone threw a bag of shit at your face, what would you do?
Oh, spit. and hope that my spit was more toxic than they were.
Yeah, spit. That's good. Never had that answer, my friend. That's good. What's the cultural shift you see developing today that inspires you?
Culture. Because if be damned. I'll be damned. This is so argumentative and it takes so long to discuss with so many different perspectives by so many people. Fucking houselessness.
Yes.
Living outdoors with community, not with violence and criminalism and and the degradation that is all so popular with the term. But by damn, living outside without debt, without obligation, with plenty of freaking challenge and moral. Yeah, living outdoors. I lived outdoors for 20 years, mate. And
Yeah.
I was broke in many places, but I had a trade. And trade is what we don't always recognize. You have a trade. A trade is not a job. A job is a job, and it might be your trade, but a trade is what you trade your energy to survive and exchange and be able to get by. And God damn it, living outdoors is a pretty fine thing if it's not outlawed. I'm sorry, I went off so much.
Dude,
I do empathize with the homeless, please. And it's a tragic situation what this country has put it to, but it isn't like that everywhere. There are squats in the world that are perfectly legal. There are tribes in the world that are perfectly legal to live outdoors and off the grid.
It's well put. I'm in Venice, California. A lot of my friends are houseless. They're not homeless because the earth is everyone's home.
I used to sleep under the docks there on the beach, under the lifeguard shacks. I used to sleep there. Yeah, I slept on the beach in those deep fogs.
Yeah.
I was more worried when it was foggy. You couldn't see somebody from a distance, and hearing the police channel go off as they're walking their beat. And I thought, oh God, they're going to see me, and they're going to. But whatever. But I was more afraid of them than the sneaky thief.
Tell me a question that remains unresolved for you.
Well, I don't think there is such a thing.
Wow, what an end.
Any question is unresolved.
That is good. Okay.
Well, I'm glad I came up with that.
Good one. How has playing spoons shaped your behavior?
Every way. It's saving. I would not be alive. And if I were alive, I'd be tragically ill and in prison. Prison. If it wasn't for entertaining with the vehicle of spoons.
Beautiful.
I fucking tell you. It's just like that. I would not be alive, period. And I would have died from some sort of fucked up illness. Or I'd be in prison just as ill. I was not a good guy. I got away with it. A lot of it. A lot of the stuff that I would have gone to prison for, I got away with. All of them. And I never killed anybody. But I may have been unknowingly responsible for even that. But I've done a lot of criminal shit when I was younger before the Spoonman. You asked for it.
Yep. Well, listen, I got 3 more and we're out of here. What a pleasure. Why don't you, Zappa people will tune in and they'll go, the guy never talked about Zappa. I says, well, go buy his book when he puts his book out. But why don't you tell us one memory, encounter, story?
No, I don't mind telling you about Zappa.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did one thing he did. And we were recording. Zappa and I met in 81. He had me close 2 shows for him, one in Eugene and one in New York at the Palladium. And then I didn't see him again till 92. And Gail called me and told me he'd like to see me. And when I was in the area. So I went to the area. And while we were in the studio recording for a couple hours, he said to me, and it was just great. I put it on my cheat sheet, but I don't even use it. But nevertheless, he said to me, you haven't got a commercial bone in your body. That was like a hug. It was just such a relief that I could become this so-called success as being here with you.
Yeah.
Seriously, genuinely. And not have any freaking money. I live on the dole. I have VA disability, and so not much money, and not much at all. But I'm down to 3 digits after rent and communication. So, but that's a form of success that I have not, unless you could say I'm stable. But I realize I haven't got a commercial bone in my body. I just as soon give it all away. That achievement. What I want to do before I die is I want to accomplish something that's definitely physical and that definitely spoons, and then say, here. You know, if anybody's going to profit from anything in my life that comes to capital, it's got to be my grandlings and greatlings. You know, I have a great grandson who's a rock drummer and guitarist. He's 18 years old, a great grandson. He'll be 18 in a couple months. Yeah. Right. So, what was it we were going toward?
Well, you told enough about Frank if you wanted. That was good.
Zappa. Yeah, I told that's about it. He said something else to me. I forget what it. Oh, it was great. I'm in a studio, and right next to me is the Magic. What was that keyboard called?
Synthesizer? Or
it was a synthesizer.
No, the Synclavier.
Synclavier. So it's sitting over there, and it prompts me this thought. And I said to him, man, do you count all this? And he said to me, and I swear, he just gave me the card, the card to the club. He said, rhythms are just pictures in my mind. I swear that's what he said, man. And that I just like, okay, I can get that. That's all I can get. You didn't tell me something I don't know. But you told me I did know it. Yeah. You know, really, for all I saw, and I know I didn't see it all, not by any stretch, but I saw quite a bit. And I won't go to what I think I saw, but I saw a lot. And I think that he was so business. I tried to tell him a poem while we were recording. He said, poetry doesn't go along with recording. Or something like that. But, yeah.
Beautiful. Really nice artist. 2 more and we're out of here. Here we go. Thornton Wilder, he wrote Our Town, 1928. He said, art is confession. Art is the secret told. But art is not only the desire to tell one's secret, it's the desire to tell it and hide it at the same time.
Who said that?
Thornton Wilder.
Oh, you know what I got for Thornton Wilder, huh? Ah, the fucker. What a it's like he took the sheet off my freaking self. I don't know. He just revealed.
That's what I'm saying. I'm asking you, you've laid your cards on the table for almost 2 hours. What's it really all about for you?
Yeah. But, I'm thinking, but the question provokes is it something about it for me? It says something like, am I trying to, it gives me a few choices as to, well, now, think about it. See, is this for the audience? Is this for Gerry? Is this because you want to da-da-da-da? And what I think is it comes with the territory I'm not a babysitter or a taxi driver or doctor. But if I were, and you were, and you asked me to interview, then it either does or doesn't come with the territory. That part I don't know, but it probably would. But with me, it comes with the territory. So I just go along with whatever I learned throughout my life about entertainers. And I saw that a lot of them were mobbed, and a lot of them couldn't take it, and a lot of them hid, and a lot of them, some of them are what it feels like is just really being out there on their sleeve to their stage degree, and then keep. It's none of my business who they sleep with, or even who they beat up, as long as that part is taken care of properly, and it's none of my business. That's all I'm saying. So,
Well, what gives you the most optimism?
Babies.
Oh my God. That's the answer I get the most is youth, the young baby. So, Artis, the first question was, what's the best thing for a human being? Wilhelm Reich said the best thing for a human being is another human being. And the last question, what gives you the most optimism? That's what they asked Groucho Marx at the end of his life. And he said, other people. So it's sure been fun spending this time with another person, especially because it was you, Artis the Spoonman. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, Jerry. Oh, I completely, absolutely, totally over the top and just absolutely had no idea who you were. And I'm so, I never watched any of your stuff. I don't do that. I don't know what. All I ever knew from you is your phone call. And please, Jerry, I am so just thrilled that you thought of me. And it's a privilege, truly a privilege. Thank you.
Truly a privilege from my point of view. And we'll be in touch because I have some great ideas. We should do a project together and have fun.
I love it.
Get down. And what we say is get knee deep in the swamp muck.
Yeah, you do the same. All the best, Nate.
Thank you. Even though I'm going to hit the end broadcast button, I hope this never ends and we can keep talking forever and ever.
Yeah, you first.